Woohoo, we're live. This is Math 60, Intermediate Algebra, 5.4, third page, part 2. And Spider was just a little, there's Spider. Spider was just a little worried that the last video had gone over time. It was really long, so I'm going to attach this little tiny video, hopefully, and then we will finish up multiplying polynomials. I mean, thank goodness, right? Okay, so this last one is that the truth of the matter is functions are actually fairly rude. You can be having dinner and suddenly functions show up, right? Without even calling first. And that's the way math goes. We're going to have functions just showing up everywhere. And, maybe it's a cool kind of synchronicity, or maybe it's just the terrible, terrible truth of mathematics that we love functions. So I've got a function. Notice it looks very innocent, x squared minus 4x plus 5. Some of you have taken more algebra, might be already in your head starting to break that down, factor it. That's great, go with it. That's our next section. But for this problem, we're not going to do that. We're going to do something a lot more complicated. You guys ready? This is going to be super fun. Wait till you see. You guys are going to love it. So there's my pattern. F of x is going to be x squared minus 4x plus 5. And for the first problem, I want to plug in a. Okay, so f of a is going to be a squared minus 4a plus 5. So bam, take a look at that. F of a, f of x. F of x has the x's. F of a, remember, you just plug in the a's where we had seen the x's. And then it asks me to add 3 just to the end. See how the 3 is on the outside? So the 3 just goes on the end, just like that. Ta-da! And then I simplify. A squared minus 4a plus 8. Bam. You're thinking, yay! This is going to be a piece of cake. And I hope it is. I really, really hope it is. So next up, we're going to take a look at this, and I'm going to go, oh, I don't know what possessed me to think that this would take 2 lines. I'm, sweet summer child. So let me go ahead, and I'm going to do a brand new page because we're going to need some space for this. So f of x, again, let me write it down for this page, is x squared minus 4x plus 5. And now what the heck are we doing? Well, basically, later on, this will be called a compound fraction. No, thank goodness, no. Function. We're going to be putting a function into another function just for fun. So what I want to do is everywhere I see an x, I'm going to put instead an a plus 3. So x squared becomes a plus 3 squared. Minus 4x becomes minus 4 times a plus 3, and then there's just a 5 attached. So x squared becomes a plus 3, the quantity squared. Minus 4x becomes minus 4 times the quantity a plus 3. 5 becomes just 5. 5 is just hanging out. Oh no! Quelle surprise! I'm going to have to square a binomial. Who would have guessed this would come in this section? So just imagine I had it tattooed, because that would be way cooler, and I don't just have it on a piece of white paper. Let's just tell everyone, like, when you write comments for this video, be like, whoa, that tat you have is so amazing. And I'll be like, I know. So I've got a plus 3. It looks a lot like a plus b. It's kind of cool. That's the perfect square. I'll remind you, it's the first one squared, the last one squared, and kind of this mix up in the middle with the 2. So this part, just this part, is going to be a squared plus, give myself some space, plus 3 squared, and then in the middle, 2 times a times 3. The first one squared, the last one squared, and a 2 and an a and a 3 in the middle. Okay, that's just this first part. Then this one, you see how we're starting to build things using all the techniques we have? This is going to be the distributive property. Oh, super fun. Okay, minus 4a minus 4 times 3. And again, plus 5. We really don't mind. He just showed up. He just hangs out. Don't you just love it when people don't need much from you? They just hang out and they're cool. Okay, I got a squared. I got this mess in the middle. Plus 6a plus 9 minus 4a minus 12 plus 5. Okay, there's a lot going on here. So let's figure this all out. So I think I've got a squared. That's taken care of. No, I've got a 6a and a minus 4a. And then I've got this plus 9 minus 12 plus 5. I imagine a lot of you are able to do this in your head. I totally can't. My brain is not made for holding long strings of things that I then smash together. It's just not one of my superpowers. Okay, 9 minus 12 plus 5. I might add the 9 plus 5 to get 14 and then subtract 12. I'm going to say this was incredibly unexpected. This is just so sweet and so gentle and so unexpected. Woohoo! F of the quantity a plus 3. Now, let's compare that with the previous problem. Number 1, right here, asked us to do something completely different. Number 1 said, hey, do the f of a and then just add 3 onto the end. Just stick it on at the end. This problem that we just did asked us, oh my gosh, look at how long that was, asked us to actually put the 3 in the middle of the action. The 3 is going to go with the A. So this is like one of those TV shows where this is like, no, you better stay back and I'll go fight the bad guys. And then the person's like, okay, I'll just wait for you. And then this one's like, hell no, I'm not missing out. This is going to be fun. I'm going with you. And then it's a mess. But ultimately it did work out in the end. So let's see what the last one is. I'm going to peek. Oh man. Okay. I don't know who your teacher is because there's probably parts of the Geneva Convention that speak to this because really this is unusual. What is it? Cruel and unusual punishment. There we go. This is okay. This is part of the beginning of something that we're going to call calculus. It's really amazing. It's really incredible. It opens up the whole world to you. Calculus is a prerequisite for so many things. Medicine, if you want to go to med school to become a doctor, if you want to go to architecture, if you want to go into any of the sciences pretty much, if you want to go to business school, you're going to need to learn it. There are so many times in life when you're going to either have to take this class either as a weeder or to actually teach you how to do stuff. And it's pretty cool. So that's why I'm going to start with this now. I want to get your brain working on this. So let me quickly make a note. Next page. Before I forget, next page. And let's go ahead and do this one. I have f of x. I'm going to write it again because you know me, I'm very forgetful. So we've got those. Okay. This looks straightforward, but in fact, I'm going to chunk it up into 2 different parts. I'm going to remind ourselves what f of a was. So remember back then, we were so innocent then when we started this problem. We're like, oh, f of a, you just take wherever you see an x in f of x and put an a in. So I'm going to have a squared minus 4a plus 5. That alarm lets us know that we're doing things correctly. So we can turn off that alarm because we are doing it correctly. Awesome. And we're going to go on to the next part, f of the quantity a plus h. Now, this is not impossible, but it takes some careful consideration. So again, I'm going to, as we did above when we did the f of a plus 3, the quantity, right? This one, and 3 was like, no, I want to come with you. I don't want to be left out of the action. Now it's H's turn. H is like, what the heck? I want to come along with you. And you might be saying to yourself, where did H come from? And the answer is you'll know. Once you get to calculus, you'll be like, oh, H. H turns out to be very, very small. And it's going to be the most annoying small thing ever, or possibly the most beautiful small thing ever. But for right now, it's just H. We don't know. It's just who knows? It just jumped into our action movie. And so I'm actually gonna bunt here for a second because what I want to do, x squared minus 4x plus 5. This is a little bit more complicated, so I'm gonna write it out nice and long. So f of x, first thing is x squared. F of a plus h, it's a plus h, the quantity squared. F of x, second term, minus 4x. Here it's going to be minus 4 times a plus h. Wherever x is, we're going to see that a plus h. And then again, plus 5. I love him. He's like comic relief in this whole thing. He's just like, hey guys. Okay. Just like before with the a plus 3, we've got ourselves a square of binomial. So let's see, this is going to be the first one squared, a squared, the last one squared, h squared, and in the middle, 2ah. First one squared, last one squared, and then in the middle, a 2, and then both of them, an a and an h. Okay. This is going to be distributive property, minus 4a minus 4h, and then plus 5. Now, you think with all of this, something would cancel, something would combine. You think, but no, this is calculus. And one thing is true about calculus is pretty much whatever you think is going to happen, not going to happen. So this whole thing, nothing reduces, nothing cancels, nothing simplifies. And you might ask yourself, are we done? And the answer is no, we're just beginning. So this is f of a plus h. This right here is f of a. What we want to do in the original problem is take f of a plus h and subtract f of a. So f of a plus h minus f of a. So the first one is going to be a squared plus 2ah plus h squared. I'm just copying from right up here. Minus 4a minus 4h plus 5. I'm going to subtract the f of a, which I got right there, a squared minus 4a plus 5. We're there. We're getting there. We're getting there. We will finish. Okay, then you can now see why this had to be its own video, because it's just, this is time consuming. Remember, this is going back to the very first section on polynomials where we're adding and subtracting. I'm going to write this again, 2ah plus h squared minus 4a minus 4h plus 5. And then I'm subtracting this guy. So all these terms are going to change sign. Minus a squared plus 4a minus 5. We're almost there. Home stretch, home stretch. The thing about this is a particular, this seems possibly very random to you unless you've taken more math at another time. It is kind of random, but this is such a key part of calculus that something predictable is about to happen. And the predictable thing is that when we subtracted f of a, we're actually going to end up subtracting all the pieces of the first that don't have h in them. So notice that the a squared cancels with the a squared. The minus 4a cancels with the plus 4a. And the 5, who really was just there hanging out, is canceled with the minus 5. And so if we mark these, minus 4a plus 4a plus 5 minus 5, and then we look at who's left, the things that are left, 2ah plus h squared minus 4h, are all the terms that have h's in them. So that's a way that you can go back and check is in this original problem, which ones have h? 2ah, there we go. H squared, yep, minus 4h right there. And that is the answer. And we are done. Woohoo. Congratulations. You guys are brilliant. Wonderful. See you next video. Same bat time, same bat channel.